That evening, when Veronica went to the junction to sell fruits, all three triplets begged to come along. "Mom, please, can we come with you today?" Olivia asked with her best innocent angel face, the one she practiced in the mirror specifically for occasions when she needed to manipulate adults. "Why?" Veronica asked suspiciously, because she knew her children well enough to know they were always up to something. "You usually want to stay home and watch TV. We just want to spend time with you," Caleb said sweetly. "We miss you when you are gone in the evenings. And we can help you carry things," Timothy added helpfully. "We're getting stronger." "Look," he flexed his tiny 7-year-old arm muscles, which looked like 2 small grapes under his skin. Veronica's heart melted. How could she say no to that? Her babies wanted to spend time with her. They wanted to help. "Okay," she agreed, smiling. "You can come, but you have to behave and do your homework when we get home." "Yes, Mom," all three chorused angelically, hiding their secret smiles. At the junction, they helped their mother set up her fruit display, arranging oranges and bananas with exaggerated care and attention. Veronica was touched by how helpful they were being. She had no idea she was about to become an unwitting accomplice to fraud. After about 30 minutes, Caleb announced loudly, "Mom, I need to use the bathroom." "Me too," Timothy added, bouncing slightly in the universal child signal for "I really need to pee." "Me three," Olivia chimed in. Veronica gestured toward Auntie Bimpei's shop 2 buildings down. "You know where it is. Go quickly and come straight back. Don't wander off. Don't talk to strangers. And Timothy, remember to wash your hands with soap." "Yes, Mom," they chorused, already running off. But they didn't go to Auntie Bimpei's bathroom. Instead, they ran straight to their predetermined position by the roadside, their eyes scanning the evening traffic like 3 small hawks hunting for prey. "Okay," Olivia whispered, taking command like the general she was. "Remember the plan. We need a really expensive car. Not just any car. We need the kind of car that screams, 'I have money and I don't want trouble.' What about that one?" Timothy pointed to a slightly battered Toyota Camry puttering past. "Are you blind?" Olivia hissed. "Look at that car. It's practically falling apart. The owner probably can't even afford to fix the dents. We need rich, not I'm managing rich." "What about that one?" Caleb indicated a Honda Accord that looked relatively new. Olivia considered it. "Better, but not quite right. That's I'm doing okay money. We need I'm so rich I don't even look at price tags money." They stood there for what felt like an eternity, but was probably more like 10 minutes, rejecting car after car with the pickiness of someone shopping for diamonds. "Too old. Too cheap. That's a taxi, you coconut head. That one's nice, but not nice enough." Then just when Timothy was starting to worry they might have to abort the mission, they saw it. The perfect car. A sleek, gorgeous, absolutely stunning black Mercedes-Benz S-Class that gleamed in the evening sun like a promise from heaven itself. The car was so shiny you could probably see your reflection in it from 50 feet away. So beautiful that even people walking by stopped to stare at it. So obviously expensive that you could practically see Naira signs floating around it like a cartoon. "That one!" All three whispered urgently in unison. "Okay, Timothy." Olivia grabbed her brother's shoulders and looked him dead in the eyes like a coach giving a pep talk before the big game. "This is it. This is the moment. Remember everything we practiced. You're an injured child, you're in pain, you're scared, you're traumatized. Sell it." "I've got this," Timothy said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "Don't actually get hit," Caleb added worriedly. "Remember, the car needs to stop. You run out, the car stops, then you fall down." "I know," Timothy hissed. "I'm not actually trying to. I'm not Caleb with his kidney selling plan." "Hey," Caleb protested. "Focus," Olivia commanded. "The car is coming. Timothy, on my signal. 3, 2, 1, action." Timothy took a deep breath, whispered a quick prayer. Dear God, please don't let me actually get hit. And also, please help Mom. Amen. And then ran directly into the road right in front of the approaching Mercedes. Inside the Mercedes, Patrick Okonkwo, successful businessman, cancer patient, and completely unprepared for what was about to happen, saw a small child appear in front of his car, seemingly out of nowhere. His life flashed before his eyes. His soul left his body. His heart stopped beating for a solid 3 seconds. "Oh God," he screamed, slamming on his brakes with every ounce of strength in his body. The car screeched to a halt, the kind of dramatic screech you hear in action movies, complete with smoking tires and the smell of burning rubber. The Mercedes stopped so close to Timothy that there was maybe 2 inches between the bumper and the child. 2 inches. Patrick hadn't touched him, not even slightly, not even a little bit. The car had stopped completely before making any contact. But Timothy, sweet, innocent-looking Timothy, who had been practicing his acting skills for 3 days straight, took this moment to deliver the performance of his lifetime. He collapsed onto the road like he'd been shot out of a cannon, fell dramatically with his arms spread out like a starfish, and began screaming at a volume that could probably be heard in the next state. "Ah, my legs, my arms, my ribs, my head, my everything. He's knocked me down. The rich man has knocked me down. I'm dying. Somebody help me. I can't feel my legs. I can't feel anything." Patrick threw open his car door so fast it nearly flew off its hinges and practically fell out of his vehicle, his expensive suit rumpling, his tie coming askew, his carefully styled hair immediately looking disheveled. "Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God," he muttered like a prayer, running toward Timothy with his hands shaking like leaves in a hurricane. "Please be okay. Please be okay. I didn't hit you. I stopped. I stopped." That was Olivia and Caleb's cue. "Ah!" Olivia came running from the roadside with tears already streaming down her face. Real tears, because she'd been pulling her own hair to make them appear. "He's knocked down our brother. You've killed him. You've murdered our brother." "Our brother is dead," Caleb wailed, joining the performance with equally impressive tears. He'd used the old trick of thinking about sad things, in his case, the memory of when their goldfish died last year. Patrick spun around to face them, his face pale as paper, sweat already beading on his forehead despite the cool evening air. "What? No, I didn't knock down anyone. I stopped. I stopped in time. The car didn't touch him. He ran into the road and I stopped. I swear to God I stopped." "You're supposed to be the adult here," Olivia shouted, pointing an accusing finger at him like a tiny prosecutor. "You're supposed to look out for children. You're supposed to watch the road. Did you not see the sign?" She gestured wildly at a nearby sign that said "School Zone, drive carefully." "You knocked down our brother, and now you need to take responsibility." "I didn't touch him." Patrick's voice was rising in panic and frustration. "He literally ran in front of my car out of nowhere. If I hadn't slammed on my brakes, something terrible might have happened, but I did slam on my brakes. I stopped. The car never made contact with him. Well, he's crying on the ground." Caleb gestured dramatically at Timothy, who took this as his cue to increase the volume of his wailing by approximately 300%. "My chest hurts. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I think he broke all my bones, all of them, even the small ones. I'm dying. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Is that you, Grandma?" "Grandma is not dead," Olivia hissed at him. "I'm having visions from the trauma." Timothy improvised wildly. Patrick looked like he was about to have a complete mental breakdown right there in the middle of the road. "This can't be happening. This can't be happening. I've had the worst day. The absolute worst day. I just came from the hospital where I got terrible news. And now this? What kind of cosmic joke is this?" "Mr. Man," Olivia stepped forward, and despite being 3 feet tall and weighing maybe 40 pounds, she somehow managed to look intimidating. "You need to take responsibility for what you've done to our brother. We are triplets. She said this word with enormous weight and drama, like announcing she was royalty. Our mother gave birth to us on the same day, at the same time, from the same womb. We are connected. We are one. We plan to die on the same day, preferably when we're very old and have lived full, rich lives. But we can't die now because we're only 7 years old. We haven't even learned long division yet. We haven't been to a concert. We haven't fallen in love. We have so much life ahead of us. You can't take that away from our brother. You have to pay for the damages. Patrick stared at this tiny 7-year-old girl who was using words like damages and speaking with the confidence of a lawyer who'd been practicing for 30 years. Damages, he repeated faintly. How do you even know that word? Who are you, children? We're educated, Caleb said proudly, puffing out his small chest. Our mother believes in good schooling. We read books, we watch legal dramas. We know our rights. Your rights? Patrick felt like he'd fallen into an alternate dimension. You're 7. Age is just a number, Timothy yelled from his position on the ground, still clutching his chest dramatically. And right now, the 7-year-old is in pain. Extreme, terrible, absolutely unbearable pain. I didn't even touch you, Patrick was shouting now, his composure completely gone. I stopped. The car stopped. That's not what it looks like. Olivia gestured around them, and that's when Patrick realized with growing horror that a crowd was forming. People were stopping, pointing, whispering, pulling out their phones. Oh God. Oh no. People were pulling out their phones. This was about to become a social media incident. Mr. Mann, Olivia continued, her voice taking on a gentler, more reasonable tone, the kind of tone a hostage negotiator might use. We don't want any trouble. We're reasonable people. We're willing to settle this quietly and quickly. We choose dialogue. We choose peace. We choose compromise. But you have to take care of our brother here. He's hurt. He needs to go to the hospital. And you need to compensate us for the trauma. Emotional distress, Caleb added helpfully. Yes, emotional distress. Olivia nodded. Watching our brother get hit by a car is very distressing. We might need therapy. Years of therapy. Expensive therapy. Patrick's mouth was opening and closing like a fish out of water. He couldn't form words. His brain had short-circuited. These children were negotiating with him. 7-year-olds were negotiating with him using legal terminology. Then the situation got worse. Because of course it did. Because this was officially the worst day of Patrick's entire life. And apparently the universe wasn't done torturing him yet. A road safety officer who had been directing traffic at the nearby intersection noticed the commotion and came over, his official uniform and serious expression making Patrick's heart sink even further. What's going on here? The officer asked sternly. This man knocked down our brother. All 3 children chorused in perfect unison, pointing dramatically at Patrick like he was a criminal in a lineup. I didn't, Patrick started. Sir, the road safety officer cut him off, his voice taking on that particular tone of authority that all Nigerian officials use when they're about to make your life difficult. Did you or did you not hit this child? I did not, Patrick insisted desperately. I swear on everything holy. The child ran into the road and I stopped my car. I stopped completely. The car never made contact with him. He's pretending. The officer looked down at Timothy, who was still rolling on the ground, moaning pitifully. Does he look like he's pretending, sir? Yes, Patrick wanted to scream. Yes, he's obviously pretending. This is clearly a scam. These children are con artists, professional con artists. But he couldn't say that because A, it would sound inane, and B, saying these children are trying to scam me when said children were crying and injured looking would make him look like the bad guy. He was trapped, completely, utterly trapped. Sir, the officer continued, his voice getting more stern, did you not see the sign? This is a children's zone. Cars are supposed to drive slowly and carefully in this area. Were you speeding? No, Patrick's voice cracked. I was going exactly the speed limit. I was being careful. Then why is this child on the ground? Because he ran in front of my car and then fell down after I stopped. Sir, are you saying this child is lying? The way the officer said it made it clear that accusing a crying, injured-looking 7-year-old of lying was social suicide. Patrick didn't know what to say. By now, the crowd had grown significantly. At least 20 people were standing around, watching the drama unfold like it was a free theater performance. Some were filming on their phones. Someone was doing a Facebook Live. Patrick could see himself ending up on Twitter, but some caption like, "Rich man in fancy car hits innocent child and refuses to take responsibility," and getting canceled by all of Nigeria before morning. "Mr. Man, take this child to the hospital," someone into the crowd shouted. "Don't let the boy die here," another person yelled. "If you let this child die, we will report you to everyone. CNN, BBC, NTA, Channels TV, Al Jazeera. Your face will be on every news station from here to America." Patrick felt trapped in a nightmare. This couldn't be real. This had to be a hallucination. Maybe the cancer medication he'd been researching had side effects. Maybe he was having a stress-induced breakdown. Maybe he died and this was hell. But no, this was very, very real. "Okay," he finally shouted, throwing his hands up in surrender. "Okay, I'll take him to the hospital. I'll take him. Just please, everyone calm down." The road safety officer nodded approvingly. "Good. I'll accompany you to make sure the child receives proper treatment." "I'll come too," announced Auntie Bimpy, the trader from near Veronica's stand, who had heard the commotion and come to investigate. "I know these children. I should be there to represent their mother until she arrives." So Patrick found himself loading 3 children because Olivia and Caleb absolutely refused to let their injured brother go anywhere without them. 1 road safety officer and 1 marketplace trader into his pristine Mercedes-Benz, which until 5 minutes ago had been his pride and joy and was now apparently a vehicle for transporting tiny con artists. Timothy was placed in the back seat, still moaning dramatically, though Patrick noticed the boy's eyes were bright and alert, not at all like someone who was actually injured. Olivia and Caleb sat on either side of their brother like tiny bodyguards. The road safety officer sat in the front passenger seat, his official presence making it impossible for Patrick to just drive away from this insanity. And Auntie Bimpy squeezed into the back, her large frame taking up considerable space, muttering prayers under her breath. As Patrick drove toward the nearest hospital, one thought kept repeating in his mind, "This is not how I expected my day to go. This is not how I expected my day to go." At the hospital, they rushed Timothy into the emergency examination room, where a tired-looking doctor prepared to examine him. While they waited, Olivia and Caleb flanked Patrick like tiny lawyers preparing to negotiate a settlement. "Mr. Mann," Olivia began, her voice businesslike and professional in a way that was absolutely terrifying, coming from a 7-year-old. "While the doctor examines our brother, we should discuss the settlement." Patrick turned to stare at her. "Settlement? We don't even know if he's actually hurt yet. Can we wait for the doctor's report before we start talking about—" "Time is money, Mr. Mann," Caleb interrupted smoothly. "We're busy children. We have homework. We have bedtimes. We need to resolve this efficiently." "You're 7," Patrick's voice went up an octave. "And you're rich," Olivia countered. "So this should be easy for you. We're not greedy. We're reasonable. We want 1 million naira for damages, medical expenses, and emotional distress." Patrick choked on air. 1 million naira for a child I didn't even hit? "Alleged non-hitting," Caleb said. "That's yet to be determined by the medical professional currently examining our brother." "Who taught you to talk like this?" Patrick demanded. "Where are your parents?" What kind of household produces children who speak like lawyers and try to scam strangers? We're not scamming you. Olivia looked genuinely offended. We're engaging in legitimate negotiation for compensation after a traumatic vehicular incident. You ran in front of my car. The children have a point, sir, the road safety officer chimed in unhelpfully. You did hit the boy. I did not hit the boy. And several witnesses saw it happen, the officer continued as if Patrick hadn't spoken. I think paying the settlement would be easier than going to court. Court cases take years, cost a lot of money, very stressful. Just settle with the family, make this go away quietly. Patrick stared at the officer, realization dawning. Are you in on this? Is this some kind of organized? Before he could finish that thought, which probably would have gotten him arrested, a commotion erupted from the hospital entrance that made everyone turn and stare. A woman had just burst through the doors like a hurricane in human form, scarf flying behind her dramatically like a superhero cape, eyes wild, breathing hard from running, looking like she was ready to fight God himself if necessary. Jesus, have mercy! Where is my son? I heard my son was knocked down by a car. Which one of you people did this? Who hit my child? Veronica Thompson had arrived, and she was not happy. The children immediately pointed at Patrick, their faces the picture of innocent victimhood. Veronica's eyes zeroed in on Patrick like a missile locking onto its target. Before Patrick could even open his mouth to defend himself, before he could say, "But wait, let me explain," before he could point out that he didn't actually hit anyone, Veronica had crossed the hospital lobby in 3 giant strides and grabbed the front of his expensive Egyptian cotton shirt with both hands. "You," she practically roared, her voice echoing off the hospital walls loud enough to make babies in the maternity ward 3 floors up start crying. "You evil man, you ritualist! Are you trying to use my son for your ritual? Why did you not slow down? Don't you know this is a children's zone? What kind of heartless, wicked, ritualist nonsense is this?" Patrick's eyes went wide as saucers. His expensive shirt was getting wrinkled. His carefully styled hair was coming undone. His dignity was leaving his body at rapid speed. "Madam, I didn't," he tried to start. "Don't madam me." Veronica shook him like a rag doll, and Patrick was genuinely impressed by her strength. This woman was strong. What kind of irresponsible person drives like a maniac in an area where children play? What kind of careless, reckless man? "Madam, please!" Patrick tried to pry her fingers off his shirt, but she had a grip like industrial-strength superglue. "I didn't hit your son." "I stopped. The car stopped. He ran into the road and I—" "Oh, so now you're calling my son a liar?" Veronica's voice went up even higher, reaching frequencies that probably shattered glass in the pharmacy downstairs. "My son, my precious, innocent, honest son, is lying? Is that what you're saying? That he threw himself in front of your car? For what? For fun?" "Actually, yes, that's exactly," Patrick started, because he was past the point of caring about social niceties. These people were insane, and he needed them to know he knew they were insane. But he didn't get to finish that sentence, because Veronica pulled him closer, so close he could see the fury burning in her eyes like twin fires of righteous rage, and said in a voice dripping with venom, "How dare you? How dare you accuse my child? What kind of irresponsible woman married to a useless man would raise children who lie? What kind of terrible parents?" That's when Patrick made his biggest mistake of the day, which was really saying something, considering what a monumentally terrible day he was having. His patience snapped. His filter disappeared. His mouth moved before his brain could stop it. "What kind of irresponsible woman?" he shouted back, his voice matching hers in volume. "The kind who leaves her 7-year-old children running around a busy junction unsupervised. The kind who is apparently married to a useless man who can't even keep his family in line. What kind of terrible parenting? He didn't get to finish. Veronica's grip on his shirt tightened so hard Patrick worried the fabric might actually tear. Her eyes blazed with a fury that Patrick had never seen in his entire life. Not in boardrooms, not in business negotiations, not anywhere. What did you just say? Her voice was quiet now, which was somehow more terrifying than when she was shouting. What did you say about my husband? Too late, Patrick realized he had crossed a line. A big line. A line that probably had warning signs and flashing lights that he'd completely ignored. I didn't mean, he stammered. My husband, Veronica said, her voice shaking with emotion now, is dead. He died years ago from cancer. He never got to see his children grow up. He never got to teach his sons how to tie a tie. He never got to walk his daughter down the aisle someday. He died, you heartless man, and you have the audacity to call him useless. You have the nerve to insult a man who worked himself to death trying to provide for his family? Patrick felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. Oh God, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. You're sorry, Veronica was crying now, angry tears streaming down her face. You hit my son with your fancy car. You tried to deny responsibility. You call my children liars. You insult my dead husband, and now you're sorry. I didn't hit your son, Patrick's voice broke. I'm sorry about your husband. I truly am. But I did not hit your son. He ran into the road and my car stopped. I stopped in time. I didn't touch him. They were causing such a scene that nurses, doctors, patients, and visitors had all gathered to watch. Someone's grandmother in a wheelchair was eating popcorn like this was a movie. A little boy was taking notes. This was the most entertainment the hospital had seen in months. Just then, like a divine intervention, or possibly the universe finally deciding to show Patrick some mercy, the doctor who had been examining Timothy emerged from the examination room. Excuse me, he called out, his voice cutting through the chaos. Will everyone please calm down? Who is the mother of the boy who was brought in? Veronica immediately released Patrick's shirt, which now looked like it had been through a war, and spun toward the doctor. I'm his mother. Doctor, please tell me, is my son okay? Is he dying? Does he need surgery? What are his injuries? The doctor looked at his clipboard, then at Veronica, then at Patrick, then back at his clipboard. He had the expression of someone who was very tired and very done with everyone's nonsense. Your son, the doctor said slowly and clearly, is perfectly fine. Silence fell over the lobby like a heavy blanket. What? Veronica blinked. Your son is perfectly fine, the doctor repeated. There is not a single injury on his body. Not a scratch, not a bruise, not a bump, nothing. He is, medically speaking, in perfect health. More silence. He's just pretending, the doctor added, looking pointedly at where Timothy was now visible through the examination room door, sitting on the hospital bed looking perfectly healthy and not at all like someone who had just been hit by a car. I've been a doctor for 20 years. I know the difference between a real injury and a child who's performing. You could have heard a pin drop in that hospital lobby. Everyone stared at the doctor, then at Timothy, then at Veronica, then at Patrick. Patrick slowly turned to look at Veronica, his face carefully neutral. See? He said quietly. I didn't hit him. Veronica's face went through several color changes, red to white to red and again to a shade of purple that Patrick didn't know was possible on human skin. He's just pretending. I'm afraid so, the doctor confirmed. Whatever is going on here, it's not a medical emergency. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have actual sick patients to attend to. He turned and walked away, leaving behind a silence so thick you could cut it with a knife. Patrick straightened his ruined shirt, trying to salvage what was left of his dignity. So, as I've been trying to tell you for the past 30 minutes, I did not hit your son. Your son ran into the road. I stopped my car in time, and then he pretended to be injured. Your children tried to scam me." Veronica turned to look at her 3 children, who suddenly looked very small and very interested in the floor tiles. "Is this true?" she demanded. "We can explain," Olivia started. "We were just trying to help," Caleb added. "We needed money for your rent," Timothy piped up from the examination room. "You tried to scam this man." Veronica's voice could probably be heard in neighboring hospitals. "You tried to fake a car accident? Do you have any idea how dangerous that is? Do you have any idea what could have gone wrong? What if he actually had hit you? What if something terrible had happened?" "But nothing happened," Timothy tried weakly. "Nothing happened because God was merciful." Veronica turned to Patrick, her face now showing genuine mortification. "Sir, I am so sorry. I didn't know. I thought, when I heard my son was hit by a car, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." But Patrick was done. So done. Beyond done. He'd reached a level of done that had its own zip code. "You're sorry," he said, his voice dangerously calm. "You grabbed my shirt. You called me a ritualist. You accused me of hitting your son. You insulted me in front of all these people. You didn't even wait to hear my side. You just attacked me. And now you're sorry? I thought you hit my son." Veronica defended herself. "What was I supposed to think?" "You were supposed to wait for the facts." Patrick's calm broke. "You were supposed to ask what happened before you started grabbing people. You were supposed to." He stopped, taking a deep breath. "You know what? Never mind. I'm done. I'm so done. Keep your apology." He turned to the road safety officer, who had been watching all of this with an expression of deep regret at getting involved. "Officer, I'm leaving now. As you can see, there was no accident. There is no injured child. There is no case. I'm going home." "But sir," the officer started. "No." Patrick held up his hand. "I'm done. Finished. Through. I've had the worst day of my life, and I'm not spending one more second here. Good evening." He started walking toward the door, desperate to escape this nightmare, to go home, to maybe drink an entire bottle of wine, and pretend this day never happened. That's when Veronica said something that stopped him dead in his tracks. She was scolding the children now, her voice shaking with anger and fear. "Do you 3 have any idea how worried I was? Do you know what went through my mind when someone told me my son was hit by a car? My heart stopped. I thought I was going to lose one of you. After losing your father, I thought..." She couldn't finish the sentence. She just stood there, tears streaming down her face, her hands shaking. And Patrick, despite his anger, despite his terrible day, despite everything, felt something twist in his chest. The triplets, seeing their mother cry, immediately started crying too. "We're sorry, Mama," Olivia sobbed. "We're so sorry. We just wanted to help. We saw you biting your nails," Caleb added through his tears. "We knew you were worried about rent. We saw the landlord's letter." Timothy wailed from the examination room, finally emerging. "We just wanted to get money to help you." Veronica pulled all 3 of them into a fierce hug, holding them like she'd never let go. "You stupid, wonderful children," she said through her tears. "Don't you ever scare me like that again. Do you understand? Never." "We're sorry," they chorused, all of them crying now, a big sobbing pile of family drama in the middle of the hospital lobby. Patrick stood there watching this scene unfold, and despite everything, despite the ruined shirt, despite the public humiliation, despite being called a ritualist, despite the worst day of his life, he felt his anger slowly deflating like a balloon losing air, because he recognized something in this chaotic, dramatic, frustrating family. Love. Fierce, protective, overwhelming love. These children had tried to scam him, not out of greed, but because they wanted to help their mother. This woman had attacked him not out of malice, but because she thought her child was hurt. They were messy and dramatic and absolutely chaotic. But they were a family, a real, loving, dysfunctional, beautiful family. And Patrick, who was going to start cancer treatment soon, who might never have children of his own, who had just been told he needed to find a surrogate immediately, felt a wave of longing so powerful it almost knocked him over. He wanted this chaos, this love, this family. He cleared his throat and everyone turned to look at him. "I'm leaving now," he said quietly. "But I hope things work out for you with the rent and everything else." Veronica wiped her eyes, her face still red from crying and embarrassment. "Sir, I'm truly sorry. For everything. My children, they shouldn't have done what they did, and I shouldn't have attacked you without knowing the full story. We're not bad people. We're just struggling." Patrick nodded. "I can see that." He turned to leave again, then paused. "And for what it's worth, I'm sorry too, about what I said, about your husband. That was cruel. I was angry, but that's no excuse. I'm sorry." Before Veronica could respond, Patrick walked out of the hospital, climbed into his Mercedes, and drove away, leaving behind the most bizarre, frustrating, strangely touching evening of his entire life. That night, Veronica marched her 3 children home in silence, a silence that was somehow more terrifying than any yelling would have been. When they got home, she made them kneel in the living room with their hands raised above their heads. "How dare you," she finally said, her voice quiet but sharp as a knife. "How dare you put yourselves in danger like that? What if that man had actually hit you? What if you'd been hurt? What if you died?" "We're sorry, Mom," Olivia said, her voice small. "Sorry isn't enough." Veronica's voice broke. "Do you 3 understand how precious you are to me? You're all I have. You're my everything. After your father died, you 3 became my whole world. I work 2 jobs not because I want to, but because I want to give you a better life. And you almost threw that away trying to scam a stranger." "We just wanted to help," Caleb said, tears streaming down his face. "We saw the letter from the landlord. We saw you biting your nails. We knew you were worried about money. We just wanted to do something." Veronica's anger wavered, her heart breaking. "That's not your job, babies. Taking care of money is my job. I'm the parent. You are the children. Your job is to study, to play, to be kids. My job is to worry about rent and bills and food. Do you understand?" "But we wanted to help you," Timothy whispered. "I know," Veronica said, her voice soft now. She knelt down to their level, lowering their arms. "I know you wanted to help. And that's beautiful. But it's also terrifying because you could have been hurt. You could have been killed. And then what would I do? How would I live without you?" She pulled all 3 of them into her arms again, holding them tight. "Promise me," she said fiercely. "Promise me you'll never do anything that dangerous again. Promise me." "We promise," they said in unison. "Good." She released them, wiping her eyes. "Now go to your room. You're all grounded for I don't even know how long. A long time until I figure out a punishment severe enough for insurance fraud." The children trudged to their room, exhausted from the drama and the crying. After they left, Veronica collapsed on the couch, her head in her hands. Today had been... She didn't even have words for what today had been. She thought about that man, Patrick, the road safety officer had called him. She thought about how she grabbed his shirt, called him a ritualist, assumed the worst of him. She thought about his face when she'd insulted his parenting, when she'd called her husband useless, when she'd realized he'd been telling the truth all along. She thought about the word that had come out of her mouth in the heat of anger, the word she'd thrown at him like a weapon. Impotent. She'd called him impotent. Right there in front of everyone. She'd seen how his face had changed when she said it. She'd seen real pain flash through his eyes, not just anger. Like she'd hit something true, something that hurt. "God," she whispered, covering her face with her hands. "What have I done?" Across the city, in his immaculate penthouse apartment, Patrick sat on his balcony, staring out at the Lego skyline without really seeing it. Today had been the worst day of his life. Hands down. No competition. He had started the day by going to the hospital for what he thought would be a routine follow-up. Maybe they'd tell him the tests were negative. Maybe they'd tell him he was worrying for nothing. Maybe they'd give him good news. Instead, they'd told him he had cancer. Stage 1, prostate cancer. The same cancer that had killed his father. The same cancer he'd been terrified of his entire life, despite eating right, exercising, avoiding alcohol and cigarettes, doing everything right. And they'd told him that the treatment would likely make him infertile. That if he wanted biological children, he needed to act fast. Find a surrogate, freeze sperm, do something now before starting treatment. Then his girlfriend of 3 years, the woman he'd been planning to propose to, had broken up with him over the phone when he told her about the cancer. Just ended it. Wished him luck and hung up. So he'd spent the afternoon crying in his car, feeling sorry for himself, wondering why God hated him, questioning every life choice that had led him to this moment. And then he'd almost hit a child with his car, except he hadn't, but everyone seemed to think he had, gotten accused of being a ritualist, had his shirt grabbed by a crazy woman, been called impotent in front of dozens of people, and had 3 7-year-olds try to extort him for €1 million. It was objectively the worst day in the history of worst days. And yet, despite everything, despite the humiliation, the fear, the anger, the frustration, Patrick found himself laughing, actually laughing. Sitting alone on his balcony, he started to chuckle, and then the chuckles turned into full-belly laughs until tears were streaming down his face. Because it was absurd. The whole thing was absolutely, completely, hilariously absurd. Those children, those brilliant, creative, absolutely insane children. They'd planned a whole scam. They'd used legal terminology. They'd negotiated like professionals. They'd coordinated their acting. They were 7 years old and they'd almost pulled it off. And that woman, Veronica, he remembered her name from the kids calling her mom. She was fierce, terrifying when angry, absolutely devoted to her children, working 2 jobs as a widow to provide for triplets. And despite trying to scam him, despite attacking him, despite everything, they were clearly good people, desperate people, struggling people, but good people. The children had done something stupid and dangerous, yes, but they'd done it out of love. They'd seen their mother struggling and wanted to help. Patrick understood that. He understood love like that. He understood desperation like that. His laughter slowly faded into thoughtful silence. He thought about how Veronica had looked when she found out the accident wasn't real. The sheer terror on her face when she thought her son was hurt. The way she'd immediately pulled all 3 children into her arms, holding them like she'd never let go. He thought about how the children had cried, not because they were in trouble, but because they'd scared their mother. He thought about how fiercely they loved each other, and he thought about how desperately he wanted that fierce love, that chaotic, messy, real family feeling. He had money, he had success, he had a big apartment and a nice car, and everything material he could want. But he didn't have what that family had. He didn't have those bonds, that love, that feeling of home. And now, with cancer, with time running out, with his ex-girlfriend's words still echoing in his head, I can't marry a cancer patient, he was running out of time to build that family he'd always wanted. Patrick sat there for a long time thinking. And slowly, an idea began to form. A crazy idea, an absolutely insane idea. An idea involving a fierce widow, 3 brilliant children, and the word that had cut him deeper than anything else said that terrible day. Impotent. She'd called him impotent, and she'd been more right than she knew, because in a few months after treatment, he probably would be impotent, at least reproductively speaking. He'd lose his chance to have biological children. Unless unless he did something about it. Soon. Patrick stood up, his mind already spinning with possibilities, with plans, with an idea so crazy it just might work. He looked out at the Lagos skyline, at the city where somewhere in a small apartment, a widow and her three brilliant children were probably all asleep by now, exhausted from the day's drama. Veronica Thompson, he said aloud to the night sky, a small smile playing on his lips. I think we're going to meet again. Very soon, he had no idea how right he was. Thank you for watching, besties. What do you think about this episode? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so. Comment episode 3 to see what happens next.